So can you all hear me? Yes, great. Good morning. So I'm Cristina Urizar, representing the NOAA National Ocean Service. And actually really not going to be presenting on the whole breadth of what the Ocean Service does. My focus is really going to be on the NOS water team and the projects and things that we have going on and what we've been doing over the last few years. And before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you for including us in DevCon. This is my second year providing one of the plenaries, but I'm actually happy that this is the first year I'm actually getting to do this in person. So today, like I said, I'm going to be giving updates on NOS, and in particular, I'll be focusing on what's going on in NOS modeling. I know there's a little bit of a theme with NOAA and reorganizing, so I'll be talking a little bit about that. I'm also going to highlight our recent projects and what we're going to be working on this year. I'll review our the NOS priorities that we submit to Cairo every year, and then the last 2 years worth of projects that we funded, and then I'll give some updates on our communities of practice. So NOS is one of the 6 line offices within NOAA, and the slide is not moving. Is there something I need to do? Where do I click? Am I clicking here or here?
I don't know. Let's find out.
There we go. Okay, so NOS is one of the 6 line offices within NOAA, and okay, now this isn't working. No. Sorry. Okay, I'll just wing it. Nope, that's not working either.
Going on.
Okay, so is it?
You can do this one, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was this one. We're moving around. Okay, sorry. Apologize. Okay, so my notes aren't working, but we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants today. So our mission is to provide science-based solutions through collaborative partnerships. And I really want to focus in on the words collaborative partnerships. Because here at NOS, our latest modeling implementation plan that was released last year, the first goal was a focus on engagement and community partnerships. And also, as we continue moving forward through our reorganization, we are actually going to be reaching out to our academic partners and our other partners to give us guidance and feedback on how we can complete our model evaluation and the criteria we want to use for that. So NOS historically, we collaborate strongly with external partners, with academic partners, with other federal partners, but we also look to the community to help guide a lot of the work that we do. So our NOS priorities are very varied. The first bullet here really focuses in on hydrology, on tides and tidal prediction, on geodesy, and these 3 priorities really are the foundational priorities of the Ocean Service. But we also focus on ecological forecasting, HAB forecasting, for example. We also do coastal management. We have a strong focus on research, engagement, and education. So the National Ocean Service is actually divided by made up of 8 different program offices. And each of these offices is focused on a small subset of some of those priorities that I listed. But what I really want to highlight with these 8 program offices isn't those priorities, but just in terms of modeling. Every single one of these offices does just a little bit of modeling or some larger portion of modeling. But modeling is really divided by all the different offices. So for example, here we have the Office of Response and Restoration. They use particle tracking in their search and rescue operations. The Office of Coast Survey does model development, and they also operate the STOFS models. National Centers for Coastal Ocean Science, they do have forecasting. And then where I'm from, the Center for Operational Oceanographic Products and Services, we operate the operational forecast systems, or the OFSs. And so, like I said, there's modeling divided in a lot of different places. And what we've realized is, ideally, that's not the best way to do things. So one of the things we're thinking about is how can we combine some of these teams so that we can maximize our modeling efforts. So in a couple of weeks, NOS is hosting a modeling summit. And in that summit, we're inviting every single person in NOS that does modeling or is modeling adjacent. And the goal of this summit is really to look at our NOS organizational structure and make recommendations about how we can better align our modeling program and become more efficient and do more. The other thing we're planning on doing is hosting or having a core model evaluation. This is something that we're starting to talk about right now. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen within the next year or so. And the goal of this evaluation is really to look at all of the different things we do in modeling and to identify maybe 2 or 3 different core models that really support all of our priorities. Now, this is a challenge because, like I said, we do different kinds of modeling, hab forecasting, particle tracking, modeling that supports marine marine navigation. And so finding, a suite of a few core models that can do all of that is going to be a challenge. And so with this evaluation, we are going to be looking to our external partners to help guide us in terms of identifying the best criteria for how we can do this evaluation. And then the last thing that we're doing is consolidating our operational models. So in this graphic, you can see 2 different models. One is the Northeast Coast OFS, which is in the blue, and the Southeast Coast OFS, which is in the pink. And these 2 models have been in development for multiple years now and are going to be put into operations relatively soon. Government speak, so maybe like 2 or 3 years. And so these models are going to help us retire smaller scale local models, and then, of course, they're going to provide more coverage to each of the regions. And so that's something else we're doing in NOS modeling. Okay, now switching gears a little bit to recent advances. The projects here, again, that I'm focusing on are projects that are related to our NOS water team, which is the one that works closest with the Office of Water Prediction. So the first project I want to highlight is one that is focused currently in Alaska. It's something that we're doing to expand the sea level rise viewer and the sea level calculator in that region. And so this product actually allows local communities to log in and look at what sea level rise will look like for them. And so as they toggle on that value for what this water level is going to do, you can see in the map in shades of blue the level of flooding that will occur, and then green will identify the new low-lying areas. So the other aspect of this tool is also to focus in on some locally well-known location and show users exactly what that rise in level will look like at that location. And so they'll see that rise there and get a sense of what it really means for them when you see that rise in sea level. And so this project actually started in 2024, and the water team funded the Office of Coastal Management to deliver this product to 28 new communities in Alaska. And then this past year, it was extended to 41 more communities with a total of 69. And about 2 weeks ago, the water team announced that it would continue to fund this project in FY26. And so the goal of the project is actually to more than double the number of communities being supported and hopefully support 84 more in the next couple of years. So there's actually 2 different STOFS projects that the water team is currently supporting. This is the first one, and this one is with the STOFS 2D Global. The Office of Coast Survey is leading this effort with the University of Notre Dame, and I believe this is year 3 of a 5-year project. And really the goal of this project is to improve that global water level forecast. And so they've been working on some updates like incorporating the lunar and solar tidal forcing, adding tsunamis, sea ice, and surface waves. The second project related to STOFs is in Alaska. It's a STOFs 3D Alaska project. They're working with Oregon State University, VIMS, NCAR, and then of course it's the Office of Coast Survey. And the goal here is to provide 3 to 7 day forecasts of sea levels, currents, salinity, and temperature, and they'll be adding waves, ice concentration, ice thickness, and motion. And so in this project, they're actually coupling STOFs 3D Alaska, which is a schism model, with sea ice. And my understanding is that we are in year 2 of that project, so this will be the last year we do this. They've currently completed the coupling and they're working on the skill assessment. Last year, we also started funding a project called Laying the Foundation for AI-Powered Coastal Modeling. This is a 2-year project, so this is the second year and the last year of this project. The first year really was about developing an infrastructure or a framework for which NOS could operate and develop AI models. And so the first year was about really identifying the requirements. So that includes looking at what the data needs are, what the HPC requirements are, what it looks like to transition this to operations, figuring out what UFS compliance means for AI models, and things like that. So we're currently in the second year of this project. And this year, the goal is now to then develop an adaptive machine learning model. I haven't seen any of the products of this yet, but my understanding is that they're using a lot of the NOS backbone data sets, so like our water level gauges, our Cora data sets, in order to develop this model. Like I said, I haven't seen any of the products, but probably next year this time we'll be able to see some of the results of this model. So this project was originally funded through BIL, but it's currently being supported also by the water team. This is a multi-year project where we are developing a tool to evaluate or skill assess coastal models. So over the last year, they've released numerous beta versions of this product, and what it does is that it skill assesses the forecasts from FECOM, ROMS, and SCHISM models. So the second bullet there for the 1D skill assessment, we can skill assess water levels, current velocity and direction, temperature and salinity, using all these real-time sources of data, and that's for all 3 model sets. And then we also have the validation of the ice concentration and extent completed. For the 2D sea surface skill assessment, right now what's out and available is only supporting ROMS and FECOM. So this year, the goal of this team is to include SCHISM in that 2D assessment, and then also to improve the GUI interface that comes with this model, or with this tool. So that GitHub repository, you can download all the Python code. Our previous skill assessment was Fortran based, and we have been using it up until now, so it's been a long time coming, this need for an improvement. But you can see that you can download all the code in the repo, and there's also a place where you can provide feedback. And so we're always happy here at NOS to take feedback. So if there are suggestions or recommendations on different parameters or different ways of skill assessing, we're happy to hear that from you. And this slide really represents what I mentioned earlier, which is the fact that we are going to be consolidating some of our models. And so here on the left, you see the Northeast Coast Operational Forecast System. This is the one that's the most ready to release. So the goal for this one is to have it implemented by the end of this calendar year. The Southeast Coast Operational Forecast System and the Lake Ontario one are going to have to happen after the WCOS moratorium. And then, of course, they're also going to happen after our model evaluation, and they're going to happen after our summit. So depending on the results of those things, we'll decide on when we're going to be releasing these. But like I mentioned earlier, the goal is to consolidate, to retire the smaller scale models and then replace them with these larger scale regional models. So so in terms of future directions for this coming year, what we're going to be working on looks a lot like what I've already been talking about. And that's because all of the projects that we funded this year were ongoing projects from last year. So the good news there is that a lot of these projects are ending at the end of this year, which means that next year when we come through our new funding cycle and the total water, and the water team meets again, we will be actually looking at the results of the summit, the results of our model evaluation, and then we'll be deciding on new projects based on those results. So here I just wanted to focus on some of the work that we're doing with Cairo. So in FY25, we highlighted 4 different priorities at the fall meeting relating to products and services for compound flooding, priorities on modeling, particularly to improve modeling in general and to better support also water quality modeling, and then finally to improve DEMs along the floodplains. And so in FY25, we actually funded 4 projects, one having to do with the products and services, and 3 for the modeling components. We did not get any white papers on the DEMs, but that doesn't mean that we aren't still interested in using that priority. And then this past year, we actually submitted quite a few more priorities. In general, the themes are the same, but we were a little bit more specific about what we were hoping we could do this year. And so this year, and I'm not allowed yet to actually say which projects we're funding because we're waiting for that final approval. But I think it's going to be announced soon, but I just wanted to show which priorities were being funded. So we're funding social science projects that relate to products and services for compound flooding. We're still supporting a project that relates to our coastal ocean reanalysis data set. And then that DEM priority from last year, we're actually able to fund something or co-fund with OWP, a project with that one as well. Thank you. So for our communities of practice, I do have a couple of updates. The first one is that we actually are going to get a new community of practice. I use one of our 8 offices at NOS is going to be hosting a workshop at the end of July that will kick off the modeling community of practice. And it's new, but it's not new. And what I mean by that is that over the last 12 years or so, every couple to 3 years, IUS has actually already been hosting workshops on NOS modeling. And so these workshops include our academic partners, other academics, people from industry, people from our IUS regional associations, and we get together with NOS and we talk about what we're doing in modeling, what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, and where the gaps are. And so at the end of each of those workshops, we come up with a list of priorities and tasks that we want to complete until the next meeting. And so this is something that we've already been doing, and IUS is now just formalizing that aspect. And so I have the QR code here in case you're interested in attending, and at the moment it's being organized by Brianna Vanderplow. And my role in NOS is to lead the coastal coupling community of practice. And the community of practice over the last 1.5 years has really been focused on executing our roadmap, which means that we're working through 4 different working groups: total water levels, bathymetric data, ecosystems and water quality, and communications, education, and training. And so over the last year, we've really focused in and made some strides. Our total water level working group is about to start writing a peer-reviewed paper on the state of total water level modeling. Our bathymetric data working group is trying to develop a workflow for how to use HRAS models to correct DEMs. Our ecosystem and water quality working group is currently recruiting co-chairs, and we're going to be working on ecosystem requirements. And then our communications, education, and training working group is about to kick off a writing team that's going to develop a terminologies document. So if you're interested in joining, I suggest you click on the QR code and fill out our form. And if you have any questions about the community of practice or questions about NOS, I invite you to email me at coastalcoupling@noaa.gov.